Hey, buenos dias, Nerf herders. Good to see you again. It's Nerm here. Today, we're going to be doing some body modeling. I've been searching around the Reddit recently. What's up, viewer? And viewer's gone. So I've been searching around the Reddit recently, and I've seen a lot of awesome body mods going on. A lot of people are doing sweet integrations. The only problem with these integrations that I'm seeing is people are not taking their time with putty work. They're basically getting into some really cool stuff, but it just doesn't, the final product doesn't look great because they're not taking their time in body work. Body modeling is very important to the Nerf hobby and community. If you're going to be doing anything, you want to go ahead and take your time, really practice a little bit. And I'm going to show you some techniques today for using Rector Seal EP200 epoxy putty. Well, what's up, Andy? How you doing, man? So this is the label off the EP200 epoxy putty. You can pick it up at Home Depot, or I picked this up at Osh for about $4 a tube. I think it's $3 a tube at Home Depot. So I got a flat top rapid on here. I wanted to do a flat top rapid strike for myself, but I wanted to do it slightly different than everybody else's flat top rapid strike. So I'll be filling in all the holes up here in the front, the holes in the grip with epoxy putty. I've built my new tops out of plastic, heated and formed plastic. So I'm just going to go ahead and fill in the areas I need to fill in to make this body 100% smooth. So you see I've already put in some epoxy putty right here. That epoxy putty went on pretty well, as you can see. That's what a good base layer of epoxy putty should look like. It shouldn't be all willy-nilly all over and I think a lot of people don't know how to use epoxy putty, and that seems to be the problem with you know, getting your lines straight and tight. So let's go over epoxy putty in detail, because I don't think anybody's shot an epoxy putty video in a long time. And you know, if you want to have the caliber work of say Mr. Nathan or Valor or Jaguar, he spends a lot of time. Hawkeye 007 spends a lot of time on his epoxy putty. So I not just it's not hard to. So let's get right into it, guys. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna fill this back line here. I'm gonna go ahead and fill this in right now because I need to make a nice smooth back line. Now I'm doing something a little bit different with this shell that I haven't done on a shell before. First and adhere them. Didn't like the way it turned out, so this time I screwed the shell back together. The shell is screwed together. I formed and fitted my plates, but I did not cut them. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go get it done. I'm going to line this out. Have to get a Dremel bit. So let's get right down to it. Epoxy putty. So here's your tube of epoxy putty. It's plastic. It's gray. There's a gray interior, light gray part. So you mix it together. When you mix it together, it gets all good and gooey. And the secret is bring yourself a little cup of water. If you get a little cup of water with your epoxy putty, and you just, I think that'll be about enough. I'm using the Alchemist shears for this, which I probably shouldn't, but it cuts clean. As long as they're cleaned up afterwards, they should be fine. And let's get into this epoxy putty. So they put a plastic wrap on here. Just undo the plastic wrap. Is before you even start kneading this to make it, you know, mold together, is it's going to start sticking to your fingers. Your fingers in the water, flick them off so you don't have a lot of water on your fingers, but just then you start kneading that epoxy putty. colors in the epoxy putty, but you'll see them start to congeal into one color of gray. The JB Weld epoxy putty is actually a little bit better. I like that because it's blue and white, and so when you're mixing it, you can really tell if you got a good solid mix. This is 2 shades of gray, which you don't know if you got a really good solid mix. I'll wet my fingers again. Notice I'm going to just keep my fingers wet through this entire process because it's going to help you really make sure this putty is pliable. And you don't want to dip the putty in the water. If you dip the putty in the water, it'll get too much moisture in it and it won't cure. So, and I've made this mistake, so you don't make the same mistake. Okay, so our putty is a little on the wet side, but I think we're going to be good and pliable here. And let's see, I'm going to move my, push some stuff around on the table here real quick. Hopefully not adjusting the camera too much. Okay. We're going to set this up on the tool, and now I want to start filling in this line. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just start squeezing the putty into the line. Buddy. So I'm squeezing the putty into the line, and then I'm going to start pushing it in. This is the same process I used on Skylar Gravitt's blaster, his Straven, no, cross bolts strife. So now I can see already that I got a little bit of excess putty, so what I'm going to try and do is I'm just going to try and tear that off. And my fingers are dry again, so let's get my fingers wet. Okay, I got my fingers wet again, and I'm going to roll this off the plate so it doesn't goop to the plate, and I'm just going to fill this gap. You can run out of working time with this stuff pretty easily, so what you want to do is just move fast. What's up, Aiden? We are doing epoxy putty today, so check this out. We're going to basically do a fill right here, and I'm going to try and get as much of this in here as I possibly can because I actually want the epoxy putty to seam to the bottom of the plate and become not just a cosmetic thing but a structural thing as well. Oh, I still have it, Skylar. It's just sitting. It needs to be worked on. I need to Hey Zachary, how are you doing today? Yeah, I don't even remember what you needed. I think you blew a motor, and you just needed a motor fix on it, which, now that I'm back working again a lot, I don't have a whole lot of free time, but I'll see if I can actually get to that today. No problem, man. You know, thanks for your patience. That's, it's rare to find people who are that patient these days, and life just gets in the way of life all the time. So, okay, so we're really filling in now. I want to keep this wet because if it starts to harden, I won't be able to move it and mold it. Now, the nice part is you can actually do a lot of molding with your fingers. You don't actually need any special tools. The one tool that I can think of, okay, so this epoxy putty right here in my hand is hardened. It's done. We can't do anything about that, but what we can do is add a little more water to the epoxy putty that's on the blaster. Sorry guys, I'm not keeping up with the comments because this stuff dries really fast, and we're trying to get a good smooth edge on it. And we are drying as we're speaking. Okay, so I didn't quite use enough water. I was distracted by videos, so, but what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and tear off this part that's overlapped because that's not going to help at all. Okay. Alright. Well, thanks, buddy. I like to hear that my work is appreciated. Body work is not necessarily easy. I'm sorry that you got an argument going on. That's no fun there, Zachary. Okay, so this is a little on the shallow side. I actually need to make it a little bit deeper. I'm going to go ahead and clean my fingers off. And we'll turn this around. So the nice part about epoxy putty is, okay, so I put on the epoxy putty and I've gotten it on there, you know, fairly good. Not as good as I would like. So what I'm going to do is, well, I wipe my, oh, be right back. In and back, just like that. I got here a very important piece of equipment. It's a selected size paper towel. I hate selected size paper towels. Okay, so now you can see right here. Yeah, this is the same process actually, Skylar. It is. Oh man, wow, that's rough, dude. I'm sorry to hear that. It's a bummer. Skylar, getting back to what you asked, this is the same process. So I made this plate out of plastic, and I just crazy glued this plate on, and then we just ran a line of epoxy putty right here, and then after that I'm going to sand all this down. I'm not going to get into the sanding part. Sanding is basically, I do care, Zach, and you know, I really feel for you. You know, there was a lot of hard times growing up for me too, so I turned out okay though. So don't worry about it, man. Just keep smiling and keep being happy. You know, find your own happy center. That's what Nerf is for me. It keeps me centered, keeps me grounded, and keeps me happy. So Skylar, what I've done is I took a plate and I took some crazy glue, extra strength, crazy glued it just in place. I don't use hot glue anymore. Hot glue has a tendency to fall apart and leave a mess. So what I'm going to do though, Skylar, is after it's on both sides of the shell, yes. When I get far along, I am going to actually mold everything that I want to mold. And then after I get it, I'm going to get a super fine Dremel cutting wheel, and I'm going to cut down the center and cut through the putty and actually cut everything out so I'll be able to shell it again. This is the first time I've method, but now that I've switched professions and I am doing automotive, not necessarily automotive, but motorcycle painting, I'm learning some new tricks. And the other trick I might try on the plates themselves is I might get a hot steel wire and sorry, Zach. So I might get a hot steel wire and put a hot steel wire on this, and as you put a hot steel wire on it, it should melt through and make a super clean, nice straight cut. Let's do one more epoxy putty. My phone is unfortunately dying, but I think I got time for one more here. Let's go and the other side, see if we can get it a little bit cleaner than that side. So we will go back to our epoxy putty tube. Cut off a small amount. Not to waste any epoxy putty, we're going to pull it out of its plastic. Put the plastic out of the way. Wet our fingers down. I do have my water just off screen here. Flick, flick. Put water in it. Don't get it too. Pros. Ah, there it goes. Pardon me for my crappy Wi-Fi connection. National Dart Wars Tournament. We got foam blast on. Oh, dude, that sounds awesome. I have not heard of it. Oh man, Zach, sounds like you're having a rough go today, buddy. I, on the other hand, am not having a rough go today. Yesterday was a long day, a 14-hour workday, but you know, came off that 14-hour workday, came home, relaxed. I decided that I would do some Nerf today because I haven't worked on any projects in a while now. So let's keep this putty real wet. All right. So we got some real wet putty now. That's good because we're actually going to be able to push it around, move it real nice like, get all the fingerprints out. That's another thing, is if you keep it wet, you can actually work pretty well with it and keep the fingerprints out of your putty. So fingerprints can equal yucky yuckies at the end. They can create air bubbles, and this is all stuff you don't want in your epoxy putty. So I'm going to go ahead and push this in here into this divot as far as I can. My fingers are getting dry again. Let's get them wet again. Flick, flick. A little too wet. Let's see. Man, I would love to go travel and play some Nerf, dude. Let me tell you. We have got a camping trip coming up for NoBACoN, and it is going to be a super good time. I'm so looking forward to it. Oh, man. I can only tell you, Zach, that things will get better, I promise you. As you get older, you have more control of your own destiny, and as you have more control over your own destiny, you get to choose what path you're on. And I have chosen the path of the Nerf. Alright, and we're looking much better on this side than we are on the other side. We're going smoothing. Smoothing, smoothing, smoothing. Alright. And like I said, what you want to do is you want to try and get all your smoothing and stuff done right now. You don't want to do, what I have done here is I've got a little divot going on. I don't want that divot. I got to get my hands wet again. Oh, thanks, Yomo. I like to think you can actually apply these techniques in other forms as well. If you are into modeling, you can actually use these forms for modeling. You know, it's not just Nerf specific. Again, boy, she is yelling a lot today. All right. So we got some nice wet putty going on here. We're getting it really smoothed out. What I'm going to want to do here is I'm going to want to smooth that to the line, because I'm trying to make this whole body the white bits are plates of plastic that I cut and heat forged. I'm not a fan of the 3D printing revolution, as you guys know, so I still do things the old school way, which is cut and heat forged plastic plates. And we have got, our putty is looking really phenomenally great this time, guys. This is a good little job here. This is top notch. So the more time you spend wet putty sanding and sculpting, the less time you're going to have to spend cleaning up your putty. And I want to get a little deeper right there. Okay, we're rolling it off right here. Air bubbles can be rough too in your putty work, guys, so just be aware of air. Aware that the air is there. Okay, and I'm going to make this jam door drop in. I'm just using the back side of my fingernail now to push the putty up to kind of where I want it. And we got a nice flat surface we're working with here. We got a little over putty right there. Yeah, I think that this Rapid Strike in particular is going to get a set of, oh God, fighting in the morning. So here we go. We have got a nice line of putty on this side. That is some solid body work right there. And I'm I'm just going to try and smooth this the best I can with my finger. I'm trying not to get it all over the plate because the plate is already got the shape I want. Okay, guys, that is a good putty job right there. That's what a putty job should look like. Alright. Smooth that out. Okay. I'll wash my fingers real quick. Make sure I got all the putty off of them. And then I'll turn this guy around and I'll show you what we've done. Alright. So, this side, a little rough. Putty dried too fast. Not enough water. This side, perfect. Enough water. And you get a nice, clean, smooth putty job over the entire thing. And now I won't have to do much sanding or body shaping to really get into that. So that, guys, is how you putty properly. So if you have any questions or comments, oh man, that's a lot of stuff. So if you have any questions or comments, leave them below. I will try to answer them, and I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I hope it really helped you. And for all of you watching right now live, thanks a lot, guys. I appreciate it. Zach, hang in there. Skyler, Frankenzilla, what's up, dude? I'm just doing putty work. My new flat-toppy rapid strike. I haven't seen Frankenzilla in a long time. So, yes. I should make a semi-automatic rapid strike. I think this one is just going to be full auto. It is going to have some pretty cool stuff. It'll be able to carry 8 other magazines on it, on the body. And we'll be able to carry 8 magazines. And yeah, now my phone is totally dead. So, buenas noches, Nerf herders. Have a great day.